And ever since I was a child, I have been very, very shy. So me speaking here today was not something that I was doing when.
Hawa, a name that rings a bell when the words innovation, STEM, robotics, forward thinking are mentioned in Sierra Leone and across Africa as a whole.
I'm tired, but again, I'm excited and as well as hopeful.
What makes it tiring?
Hawa is a change maker in the field of innovation education, known for her exceptional efforts in nurturing creativity, innovation, and forward thinking among young boys and girls. Her dedication to transforming education has made her a household name, inspiring countless young minds to become innovative thinkers.
From Sierra Leone to the USA,
I can imagine how tiring that is, having 6 kids, having to manage them. You were expecting to leave and then now they cancel the flight.
They had to literally fight at the airport. So I used to sneak to the computer lab. I love to ask questions. Well, I remember one time I asked her, where do salt come from?
She has collaborated with both local and international organizations, such as Plan International and Vex Robotics, among many others. At just 23 years old, she is already a prominent voice shaping the future of Africa.
Technology really is important now.
How are you feeling, really?
I'm tired, that I can say. But again, I'm excited and as well as hopeful. That's how I feel currently.
Okay.
But then again, sitting here right now, I'm tired. I'm tired.
You can look to the mic. It's okay to them, okay? You're tired. Okay, so I can expect that for you to be tired, but what makes it tiring?
Oh yeah, I think the journey from Sierra Leone to the USA, traveling with 6 kids and then 3 coaches, it can be very exhausting.
Yeah.
Considering the fact that this was their first time traveling outside of Sierra Leone. So, me being me, want everything to be perfect. Put them in line. So it was kind of exhausting. But then we got there. Of course, we went for a competition. We had a purpose of why we went there. We didn't go there for vacation. So I had to be on the kids again. Those that have kids could really imagine, like, when you have 1 or 2 kids. So talk less of having 6 kids that you have to take care of, that you have to feed, that you have to ensure that they are protected as well. So all that experience makes it tiring.
I can imagine.
And then we got on our way back to Sierra Leone. We had to, we got to Senegal. They cancelled our flight. So we had to stay there for we spent the night there. But that was not really what was tiring. It was the fact that when we got there, because we landed in Senegal at around 2 p.m. And then they told us that our flight was at 4 p.m. And then when it got to 4 p.m., they told us that, your next flight is at 6.
Wow.
So, people had to literally fight at the airport so that the airlines or the people that were working there could tell us exactly what was happening. And it was around 10 p.m. that they got to us and told us, your flight was cancelled.
So I can imagine how tiring that is, having 6 kids,
Yes.
having to manage them, take care of them, and you were expecting to leave and then now they cancel the flight. What happened when they cancelled? Where did you get somewhere to sleep or something?
Yes, we got to a hotel, but I think before that, everybody was just tired. Like the whole team was tired because we had to fly from Dallas to Washington D.C. So we left Dallas 2 a.m. in the morning to catch a 4 a.m. flight, and then from there we got to D.C. We had to spend about 3 hours in D.C. before we got on another flight to JFK, and then we spent 6 hours at JFK. So I think between that period, everybody was just tired and exhausted. So when we got to Senegal, we were literally just sleeping. Everybody was sleeping. And then when they told us we were going to the hotel, the team was half asleep. So I was the one that was awake to just know what is going on, what is happening. And then when we got to the hotel, I think everybody was just tired, so everybody just slept.
Now, how did this competition, VEX competition, is a robotics competition, is amazing. I think Sierra Leone was really proud to get people to represent us on that particular competition. That was one of those things that actually drew my attention to you. And I thought it is important that you share your story on this podcast. So, how did it come about? How did it start?
I think when we look at the story for VEX, you have to look at the story for Kamaraoke Innovation Center.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where everything started. And then when you look at Kamaraoke Innovation Center, you have to look at Hawa. Because again, that's where everything started.
How did an economist become an innovation founder and CEO? That's amazing. I want to hear that story. So let's start from there.
Okay. So I think ever since I was a kid, I've always been someone that was always very curious. So I love to ask questions. So I'll always go, to my grandmother because, I grew up with my grandmother. So I'll always ask her, how does this work? Or what, even when they are cooking, what are you cooking? How do they make Maggie? So all these questions. I remember one time I asked her, where do salt come from? Because I had never been to the to the capital, and I never knew that we have like salt water. Most times, like that's where Sierra Leone gets the local salt from, and so my grandmother had to explain to me. But again, I grew up in this patriarchal home wherein it's my grandmother basically. So she was the one that would decide what you would do in college or in GSS or SS. And she was a head teacher, by the way. So, growing up with that strict parent.
Mm-hmm.
And then so one time since GSS, I've been telling her that, I want to go to the sciences. But then, she had the idea of law. And, you should do law.
You must become a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, of course, being a respectful grandchild, I went to the art stream. But then, when I got to Holy Roses Secondary School in Kenema, and I started going to school, my school was really one of I would say, privileged that had a lab that really had laptops and other equipment. So I used to sneak to the computer lab, wherein I go there, I just watch YouTube.
Okay.
I used to just be on YouTube, watch Chris Brown's video and Rihanna. But then again, like I said, I'm someone that has been very, very curious, and my curiosity is something that really drives me. And so during Ebola, I started the Community Development Service Club at my school, so the CDS. One of the goals for the CDS basically was to go to communities and talk about teenage pregnancy, dropouts, and all these things. During Ebola, Kenema was actually named the red zone.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was like the time we had a lot of girls dropping out of school, teenage girls, and all this stuff. And so I left Kenema. My grandmother had to make me leave Kenema, and then I came to Freetown. In Freetown, I had the opportunity to travel, for the youth exchange and study program. I applied, and unfortunately I got that. And so I went to the USA. That was really where this curiosity that I had, I really put it into practice. So ever since I was a child, I have been very, very shy. Mm-hmm. So me speaking here today was not something that I was doing when I was, when I was coming up. But then when I went to the USA, I joined the debate team. I think that was where my speech improved. And then I started talking to people. And so I got back with the idea of the CDS that I started in Sierra Leone. And so I got to this community that I was working, and almost 80% of the teenage girls there were either pregnant, some are not even going to school.
So basically, your schoolmates,
yes,
some of them that you were going to school with, you came back, and like 80% we are pregnant, you dropped out of school, and then you were now thinking in your mind.
Yes.
So how did it go?
So when I asked them, what's the reason for this? What they told me was, because we didn't have light, like electricity, to study at night. And so this was a story that, I'm a young girl, and then I seen my companion or my classmate in this situation. It was something that I didn't really like. So I came back to Freetown and I spoke to a few of my mentors at that time by the name of Mustafa Lole, and I told them that, hey, we have to do something for these people. But in my time in my school lab, I discovered renewable energy. It was something that I was really passionate about at that time. And so together with them, we built a technology wherein you combine solar energy and wind energy, and then we were able to power 50 houses in that community.
Wow. Which community is that?
That's the Sierra Leone community.
Okay.
That actually that was in 2017, and that technology was there for like 6 months. But because like the materials that we used for the windmill, which was like PVC pipes, and then the for the wind turbine, and then like for the stick, we had to use a tree, so it was not
sustainable.
No, it was not really safe based on EPA's Environmental Protection Agency's recommendation. So we had to take it down, and then we were just left with the solar. So I think that's where all the idea of Kamaroke Innovation Center really started, because I saw that for young people or for kids to access resources, we needed a place to go wherein they have access to all the resources that they needed to really build on their creativity. And so during COVID, Sierra Leone really transitioned from the in-person learning, or they really kind of saw the importance of technology and how that really is part of our everyday lives. And so when I got to university again, I noticed that there are students my age, but they're not kids anymore. They don't even know how to put on a computer. And then when COVID came, you saw how technology really is important now. And then having, students not able to put on a computer really for me was something that, said a lot about Sierra Leone and where it was headed. Yeah. And so, I reached out to a few of my friends, colleagues, and then we started a outreach program started teaching university students.
Are these friends from Sierra Leone or from outside?
Oh, from Sierra Leone. Okay. From Sierra Leone, yeah. So they're young people just like me who are very they have energy anyway. They get more energy. So yeah. And so together we actually started, teaching university students. But then I realized that for us to really empower or really impact the Sierra Leone, we have to consider the next generation, because for me it was going to be the same cycle wherein we have kids from JSS, SS, and then they come to the university. Again, they have no idea how to use technology. So we diverted the attention from the university student, and then we started really focusing on the kids that we're currently working with.
We are like saying, okay, you are now.
Oh yeah.
You guys can find your way around. Let's target the kids.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Good. So you mentioned something about mentorship. You said you had some mentors.
Yes.
And this is something that's really is a great idea if you know what that means. But how did you came about having this mentor, and what kind of impact they have on you?
For me, mentorship is so important because it has really played a very big role to bring KYC and myself to where we are today. And I think I've met, few mentors along the way. I know people would say, oh, you only should have one mentor. But for me, I really met mentors in different areas of my career, of what really I do. One of my biggest mentor, Abu Kamara, who is also the co-founder of Kamaroke Innovation Center. So I met Abu in 2018, I think. Yeah, when we did the wind for the community that I spoke about. And so he actually found my number. He called me and he told me that, hey, I want to mentor you. And me being me, curious, and I asked him why. I was like, oh, because I see a potential in you. So having someone like him actually seeing me and knowing what exactly I'm capable of, he really came on board to mentor the ideas that I had, how I can be able to, safely or accurately position my ideas to actually benefit the community. Because let me tell you, I've had some crazy ideas, but if it wasn't for mentorship, it wouldn't have been impactful as how KYCs currently. And so when I shared the idea with Abu for KYC, he was totally in, and so he wanted to co-found it. And I've had another mentors like Sebe Momo. She is a woman in STEM. So of course she's someone that have helped me a lot in terms of the programs that I do, or whenever I reach to her for personal advice, whenever I have programs, I run it by her. And whenever I need her to maybe come to an event or maybe speak to children, she's always there. And she's a woman in STEM. It's very hard for Sierra Leone to have that, to see women that are in STEM going to that level, and she's the first ever petroleum engineer in Sierra Leone. So having someone like her by my side have really helped, me, and of course I've had some few other mentors, but like those are.
So now let's talk about running this innovation center, okay? UK Innovation Center, right? So what is it like to run an innovation center?
I think for a young person it's exciting, but then at the same time it's very, very challenging.
Okay.
So the exciting part is I get to work with young people, I get to work with students, I get to kind of like impact them. I think the challenging part, of course, is I get to work with young people. So I think that's both exciting and challenging. But I feel like what has really worked for me is the idea of young people mentoring young people. So I work with a group of, I partnered with a group of university students, the State Society. So they're also into STEM and technology, but they're like, like this group of university students from engineering, they also wanted to create change or make an impact. So I partnered with them, and it made my work very easier because they do the trainings for the kids. They do, like, when we have activities, they go to the provinces, train the kids, and then come back. So I feel like that's something that have really worked for me. But then I have like 5 permanent coaches or mentors at the center, and then the rest are just volunteers. And so these 5 people have really been with me from the start to where we are today. We're in.
So probably maybe just for our listener to fully understand like the way you do things, can you just run us through like a program? Let's say you have a particular program. What exactly? How do you go about it? Thinking about getting the coaches, preparing the training material, delivering the training, and probably funding in between.
Oh yeah. So when we normally have the STEM Force Wales conference in December, and then we have like the national robotics competition. So we have like 3 months to prepare. What we do basically is
so the national robotics competition is a program that your innovation center organizes.
Yes. And so what we do basically, so we get the kit, the VEX kit, like the robot kit, and then we send coaches in the provinces with full curriculum, transportation, feeding, and lodging. So all the cash, all the funds are provided by us. And then so these coaches go to the provinces and they spend like 3 months. So from October, November, and then so part in December, basically. They go there and then they train these kids, they teach them how to code, how to build a robot. So that's like just for the national robotics competition, how to design. And then at the end of the day, the coaches come back to Freetown. Those are the volunteers basically.
Yeah.
So each location, let's say for Kenema, we have one coach go to Kenema and then they train the kids. And then for Bo, depending on how big the number is or how big the team is, we send 2.
Okay.
But for Freetown, we do schools. So they compete by schools. But for Kenema, we just like pick from if you are in Holy Roses Secondary School or if you're attending T school and you're interested, or if you're attending any private school. So we bring them all together. And then they are like one team.
Yeah.
And then we have one coach there. But for Freetown, we do schools. So we send the coaches to the school. So each school, let's say the St. Joseph Convent, we have one coach go there.
Okay.
And then, so for free time, we do two. So just in case like one coach is not there, then the other will just cover. And then, of course, the same thing. So they have a curriculum that they go with, and then they teach the kids. They allow the kids to build the design. And then December, when we normally have the conference around the 11, 12, 13, 14. So whenever, during those dates, the kids all come to Freetown, wherein we provide lodging, and feeding as well for them, and then they compete.
Okay.
So that's normally what we do for our programs.
This is exciting because now I'm getting it, because I was like really thinking how are we developing the minds of young people in terms of robotics engineering and all of those things, right? So I know the kids might need equipment that they use to set up these things, and even the training materials. How do you develop this?
So most of the training kits, basically, we have to buy.
Okay.
So we normally buy the kit, but then they do ship for us free, which is exciting. That yeah. So that part really, because shipping is very expensive, especially with the kind of tools that they send. So when you try to ship like battery, then they don't normally ship battery. I don't know why. They'll tell you to take it up the box. So UPS does not do battery, and then which are shipping this? That's the
DHL.
expensive one. DHL does not do battery as well. So they tell us to remove it, but then when Vex ships for us, it's easier. We get all the equipment when they ship. Yeah.
So who is Vex?
So Vex Robotics, they are like the robotics company basically that we use their kit, the ones that organize the competition and everything. So they have a kit, a robotics kit that basically serves also as an educational kit.
Okay, so they are the ones who organize this global competition.
Yes.
So you guys are in partnership with them.
Yes.
So they know you, and then this is how you connect to get some of these. Probably they have some license to move these things from the United States.
Probably.
All right. So basically, on a yearly basis, okay, firstly, how many competitions have you organized in Sierra Leone so far?
We have done 3. So the first one was in 2021.
Okay.
And then the second one was in 2023 in January, and then the third one also was in 2023 in December.
Okay. All right. So how long has the Innovation Center been in existence? Like when was it?
Well, we officially registered in 2023, but we have been operating since 2020 during COVID.
Okay. What are the unique challenges that you've seen or you've experienced, like things that you really want to discuss that you want listeners to know about?
I think the biggest challenge for us has to do with resources. As an innovation center, working with the kids that we work with or the age that we work with, resources has been one of our biggest challenge. And not only
what's the age like? What
so we do normally from 9 to 17.
Okay.
But then we do organize boot camps for older people.
Okay.
But like I said, our focus really is for the JSS and the SS student. Sometimes we do classics students as well, but mostly JSS and the SS students are our primary targets.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So on the resources side now.
Yes. So resources has been one of our biggest challenges ever since we started the center. So in terms of funding, I have to I wouldn't say pay, but provide stipend for the 5 mentors that I have, and also for the volunteers, the coaches. So, and then equipment wise, the more equipment we have, the more we're able to reach out to more kids. But then because of limited equipment, we're only able to, have a little bit of kids that, well, not little bit, but a little amount of kids that comes to the center.
The size that you can take per cohort is very small. Because do you see like this, that there is a huge market for this? Like you have more kids that really want to be part of this.
Yes, we have actually. So when we do we have like a summer program or third term program, because someone told me that Sierra Leone does not have summers. So,
it's a third term, yeah.
And the person said, "Oh, you should say rainy season program." So when we have our rainy season program, we actually send out applications basically, and then there was this time we had over 500 applications. applications,
Wow.
and we only needed about 120 kids.
That's
Because that was the amount of resources we had to accommodate the kids. And so I didn't do the choosing or the selection because I just wanted to have everyone come.
So literally you are running away from the bias.
Oh, yeah.
You want your conscience to be clear.
So I just handled that to the team. I was like, you take care of that.
You choose. Okay.
And so, yes, I think we encountered a number of challenges. And even for the conference, when we normally do the conference, we have people register, and sometimes we get about 700. The last conference we did in December, we had about 700 people that registered. We're only catering for 300.
And this is something really that I see across Africa. It's not just here in Sierra Leone, but across Africa. You have young people, they are hungry. They actually want to explore, they want to learn. But it seems as if it's the resources that is holding them back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So say like 500, 700 applying, they want to be part of this program. And you are having this unique challenge, which is the resources to manage. And so I was thinking about, what about technical skills? Do you have enough technical skills?
Oh, yes, we have enough technical skills. So like I said, one of the smartest decisions I did was to partner with State Society. So these are university students that have gone through engineering, and like the best of the best are part of this organization. And so whenever I need them, I just call upon them and then they're ready. So like these are people that are really passionate and want to volunteer and make something impactful. And so I think that's like I said, one of like the smartest decision that I've ever made as a CEO.
Yeah. So you feel really, okay, this is the right decision. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the future. All right. Let's talk about the future. We'll be talking about what has been happening. In your mind, let's say everything being equal, where do you see in this innovation center to be going?
The Kamara Innovation Center.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you see?
So I would say the Kamara Innovation Center is the future.
Okay.
We are empowering students at a younger age who are changing their mindset to embrace creativity and innovation. And we're doing that with the little available resources that we already have. So I'm seeing maybe in the next 5 years, we have these kids that just went to the USA, and now one of them is telling me that I want to be a mechanical engineer. I'm going to do everything to be a mechanical engineer. And then the other one is saying, oh, I want to study at NASA, because when we went to when we went to Dallas, actually they had like a small NASA showcase.
Okay.
And so like they were inspired. So this is something that this is what, when I look at KYC, this is the vision that I have to empower kids who in the next 5 years will be tech giant or tech savvy, who are ready to solve local problems. So I will always tell people that, the next 5 years, Kamara Innovation Center is going to be a place where ideas comes to life. And I say this because for me, I believe that if you really want to innovate, you have to get the learning side of it. You have to. So I think us really, the center really focusing on the learning aspect or like capacity building aspect. I think that's really what is needed. Because at the end of the day, we have had kids who have changed their mind from going to art to do science. So that's really what I wanted to see. And even those that are studying law, are in the arts, because we have not had somebody go to the university yet. So, and then this girl was really telling me, she heard about that someone can be a tech lawyer. So these are all things that I, when I look at the future for Sierra Leone, like it's really, I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. Where the world is like moving to this technological trend, and now I'm seeing kids talk about technology, talk about engineering, talk about wanting to go to NASA. So these are all things that excite me. So the future really is hopeful. I'm really hopeful for the future, and when I look at the future, also, I'm seeing us partnering with organizations that are also creating an impact. Organizations basically that can give us funding.
Yes. So they have that.
Yes.
They have money and they should be coming to people like you that you are not just into this because you want to be into this. You are there because this is what you love.
Mhm.
I think this is where probably we can now turn into the idea of Africa itself in general. I know probably you must have interacted with some African creators, change makers all over in Africa. So there is this argument about when it comes to innovation, chasing the West or chasing the West, the European countries, the innovation that they've made, or for us to build something that is different from our own perspective. What do you think about that argument? What have you seen?
Africans are now innovating in their culture.
Yeah.
So this is something that I always say, like for Sierra Leone, let's innovate our culture, basically. It's not that we're trying to change or we're trying to chase the Western, innovation that they already have. But
basically catching up. That's the actual language there. Catching up with the West. Instead of us trying to catch up, you are saying, let's focus on what we already have. Look at our local solutions and then look at our local problems and then innovate to solve them.
Yes.
All right.
So I truly believe that, Africans has the idea or we're like the smartest people. So let's start building on that. So instead of like trying to compare what the difference between Sierra Leone is to USA, we're never going to be like USA. But then we can try to be like Sierra Leone.
Mm-hmm.
Ghana is never going to be like USA, but then they can be Ghana. So that's like the idea that really, when I look at Africa, that's the idea that I have. But then you find out that currently, young people are actually doing something about it. Yeah. So it's not like before, when we talk about comparing Ghana, America, or Sierra Leone, America, people are just hitting that. So I feel like now the young people are actually waking up. You see people go to the USA to study, and then just as they're done, they come back to the country to try and, do something for that country. And I think we have had so many inspiring businesses that have come out of Africa. Definitely. So I feel like the narrative is changing, the conversation is changing, and so I feel like the young people in Africa are really ready. So it's just left now with the old people to join us.
Yes. Honestly, the catching up game is difficult.
No, it's very difficult.
It's difficult.
It's very, very difficult. And it's going to be difficult if we try to. Mm-hmm. So for me, like I always say, let's not try. More no, you won't try. We're never going to. Because when you talk about, when we went to the competition, with the kids that we went with, when you look at our kids, our robot design, when you look at China's, when you look at USA, theirs is like way, way different. Even when you look at the materials that they took to the conference or to the venue, mm-hmm. like that these people, they have been trained since they were kids and then up to the level that they were. Mm-hmm. But then for us, we only have like this little robot that the kids built. But then it was their mindset, the innovative aspect that they used, and it really worked for us. And at the end of the day, they gave these kids medal. Okay. So that just shows that we shouldn't really fight to be like countries like USA or Ghana or China, because we're never going to be like them. But what we should do is we should fight to be Australian, to be like Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leone that we have in our minds. That's my own idea when it comes to catching up, because we are never going to catch up to these countries.
Honestly, because to be honest, you look at these countries, they've spent billions and billions of dollars to mm-hmm. invest and do. But there are things that we can do in Africa that can really make us stand out. Mm-hmm. And by doing so, we can kind of carve out a segment within the innovation space where when somebody wants to do something, they will have to come to Africa to mm-hmm. do it. So within your own space, what ideas, because you were talking about the kids coming up with different ideas, but I know you've interacted with different minds, and what ideas have you seen that really say that wow, you like say, wow, I like this idea?
So we have actually had a kid design an ultrasonic wave
Okay.
wherein it's used to measure something around the weather. So I'm not a funny story. Like he said, I'm an economist, so I'm not a tech expert. So, so I just love doing technology basically. But then the coaches work with these kids, and he built an ultrasonic device to mention the weather. That was something that I was amazed. I even shared it on my social media because I've never seen something like that. And then a very young boy actually, but at 14, did that. And then we had some other idea that came for kids to use drones for environmental degradation. I've never thought about that. I've never thought about using drones for anything besides, taking pictures, making videos. But these kids are using drones for environmental degradation or for sanitization purposes, for cleaning. So you see these ideas and you think that, okay, we need these resources. And we had one kid, well, a team of kids that designed, they designed a smart bin, like trash can, to solve waste problem. So you find out that these kids have the idea, but they just need that resources to empower them to bring out that creativity in them. And these are like we have a kid that did a tic-tac-toe app. He built it at the center, and so we have other kid that did so we have like the small educational kids robot, and then she designed an object avoidance vehicle.
Okay.
So the idea basically is to prevent accidents. So if you're going somewhere and something is on the way, the vehicle will just. So yeah, so you see all these ideas, you see all this vision that these kids had, and it's something that really excites me about the future.
Okay. So basically, what I'm seeing as a future for, I'm not there, but I'm just thinking, okay, for Kamayoke Innovation Center, probably some of these ideas needs to be nurtured.
Oh yes,
They need to be nurtured to be transmitted into successful businesses. Do you think about that? Like, do you have a plan for that kind of thing?
No, yes. So I think so. When I started, basically, I had three phases in mind. So when I look at what KYIC could achieve, one was the learning phase, which is where we're currently at. Teaching the kids, empowering them. The other is the innovation phase, where in these kids, the idea that they have, they're able to create something like the ones I just mentioned. And then we have the last one, which is the entrepreneurship stage. That is like the last stage. That is like with enough funding and resources, we can be able to more like empower the kids to launch their own businesses. Because the main idea is impact. So as we create impact, how can these kids also create impact in the society? So the ideas that they have, like the ones that I really love, that I think might be have a business potential. When we get to the entrepreneurship stage, or when we get enough funding, we can be able to fund the kids project. It's like I know for the smart bin, it's something that I really really like that, and I know we're currently the climate crisis and then the pollution and everything, and with their idea, they can be able to kind of solve these things in their schools. And then the one that did the object avoidance vehicle, maybe her technology can be or incorporated in vehicles that we have in Sierra Leone or even outside of Sierra Leone. So yeah, these are all ideas that I think can generate funds for these kids, but then we also need funds, so we can't fund them by the way.
So true. So now let's talk a bit of statistics.
Yes.
How many people have you trained on the center? Can you remember?
So from 2020 to now, the center we have been able to, the center, 2023, we did 1,500. So 2020 from 2020 to 2023, when we were going to communities engaging kids, so we did around like 4,300 and something. So yes, so overall number of with the ones that comes to the center, to the conferences, and the ones that we mentor, we have like within 7,000 kids that we have worked with. Yeah.
Okay, in the space of like 4 years or so.
Yes, yes,
Space of
yes,
4 years,
yes.
7,000. That's a huge number. So now somebody might be interested to know how many girls, how many boys,
Oh yes,
but that ratio is
yes.
very important.
I think one of my biggest goal is really to bridge the digital divide.
Yeah.
It's very hard, very very hard to get young girls to. Like, when you talk about STEM, this as soon as you mention math, they run away. These kids really just run away. So what we have done, so we don't mention math again. We don't. So we gave them the toy because I call them toys. So these are educational kits. So they learn by playing. And so we have been able to get few girls, but then the percentage is very, very low. So we only have like 30 to 32% of girls that have come through the center. And if you even notice, when we went to the USA, we only had one girl.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Out of 6 kids.
Out of 6 kids. So I'm really trying. It's not that I'm not trying. I am. I'm really doing my best to get more girls to be interested. But I feel like now, when Khadija went to the States and then she came, now parents are actually calling me wanting to enroll their kids in our next cohort. So, which are girls, so I'm really excited for that part. So, yes, so we currently have 32% of girls that we have worked with, which is very small compared to the number that I want. So, I want 60-40, but the boys are saying no.
All right. So out of like, let's say ideas, you mentioned a few of them. How many ideas do you see? Can you approximate that you guys have generated out of these 7,000?
So I won't actually know because we only started the pitching competition last year, basically.
Okay.
So that was like when we started to ask them to design and then come and pitch to us. Because again, like I said, we want to, create that mindset. So that was like the first batch of ideas that we really had that the kids themselves did. So we only focus on the learning part, but then like we are trying to incorporate the innovation aspect. So for me, I believe in bit by bit as we move along. So I know the stages will come more in when we have more capacity, more resources, then definitely we can try and help them pitch because the number, like I said, we only did like 120 last year. So the number was actually for the summer program. So they were too much for us.
Season program.
Oh yes, the rainy season program.
All right. So if somebody is listening, obviously people will be listening to this and they might be interested. What do you want people to know about your center and how probably you want them to come in if they want to come in as support?
So Kamaraki Innovation Center, it's actually free to partake. We work with schools, so if you want your kid basically to participate, reach out to your school. Or, you can reach out to me, and then I can go to your school. I speak to your principal and try and see because I normally try as much as possible to avoid physical contact with parents. So I just do the schools because parents normally trust the schools. But then if there's need for me to intervene to talk to a parent, then I can do. So reach out to your school if you want us to establish a STEM club because we have STEM clubs in the schools. If you want STEM clubs in your school, reach out to me personally and then we can sort something out for your school. And then that's where we get the kids. And then like I'm someone that is very big on safeguarding because these are kids I work with. So I send you forms so it's not like I'm forcing you to join. So you fill it, you apply. Like I said, it's free. You don't have to give me money, and I don't want the kids' money. I want them to come to a place where and they don't have to worry about payment. So maybe if you want, you can just worry about your transportation to come and go. So and then we do consent forms. The consent forms are taken to the parent, and then you sign, telling us that you're allowing your kids to come to the center. And then, of course, I think that's where basically we start. So start with the school.
Great. So if somebody wants to partner with you, like work with you on this idea, how does that work?
I'm open to partnerships. Partnerships. That's even one. I'm open to partnership, and you can reach out to me via my social media. I'm always online. By the way, always online. And if you send me a message, I'll respond to you. But just don't send me hey with a message, please. So, and then the website is there, kyc.sc kycsl.org. So that will be up by next week because we're trying to edit some things there. And then my contact is also there. The center's email is there, Kamayoki Innovation Center at gmail.com. It's a bit long, so bear with us. And then, of course, my like I said, personal account or social media is there. Reach out to me, Hawa Dominic Ayoki on Facebook, Instagram, and then Hawa Yoki on Twitter, and then I'm on LinkedIn as well, Hawa Yoki. So yeah.
All right, so guys, there you have it. So if you want to talk with the KYIC Innovation Center, you can do so. You can reach them on social media, and they are doing amazing work as you've seen on this episode. So we want to thank you for for this conversation. Probably we can have you some other time. But also, if you cannot reach them through that, all of those social media, and you can reach us, and we can get to her, be able to connect you. But they are doing amazing work, as you've seen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll